four, three, two. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creative Talk podcast with me, Jan Santos. And today we have a very, very special guest, an amazing guest, guys. He is a successful creative entrepreneur and a podcast host. We are in the presence of greatness, guys. Very humble, I love the character. When I connected, when we both exchanged messages, he's just very approachable, very humble, and I love what he do in the industry. I don't want to spill some points because it will reveal the topic later, but guys, again, we're in the presence of greatness. I love the podcast. I love the values that he shares. Again, amazing. Our special guest for today's episode. Let's all welcome Noah Hutton. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I know you're a very busy person. I've said this off cam. I'm going to say it again. Thank you for being with us here in today's episode, my friend.
Of course, happy to be here.
Yeah, let's go. All right. My friend, I'm excited, and I know our listeners and viewers are excited to know who or what influenced you to be in this position you are right now. Because clearly, um, I mentioned you are an entrepreneur and you are also a podcast host. You are connecting to a lot of people, different people. You're changing their lives. They're inspiring. You're inspiring. You're helping. You're motivating. So who influenced you? What pushed you? Give us your story, my friend. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So I would say that what inspired me was a little bit of necessity and a little bit of kind of a push from friends. So back in college, I went to Purdue University, which is in
Mm,
Indiana in the United States. And back in college, I was a part of this group where we would raise money for a local children's hospital. And so I was part of the video team on that group. And one of the things that I was always told was, well, kind of to back up, like with creatives in general, we're perfectionists. We want our work to be perfect, and we're really
mm,
harsh on our work. So when I was part of this group, people loved what I was doing, and they would always compliment me on the videos I was creating for the group. And so that kind of was my first push of, oh, people really like my work and people really
right.
like what I'm doing. And so that was kind of a little bit of a hint into maybe I should do this as a full time job.
Mm,
And then the other part was the necessity part. I graduated college in 2022, May 2022, and did not have a plan out of college. I didn't have
wow.
a job offer. I didn't have a way to go into the full time job. So I did some traveling throughout the summer when I was in California for a little bit, and then I came back in August to my hometown of Indiana,
Mm,
and I didn't have anything to do. So a little bit before that in July was when I started my business. I had been doing real estate media, real
yeah.
estate video, and photography a little bit before that. And so come July, I was like, I'm just going to start this business, see where it goes. And if I get a job offer, I had a couple of companies that were
Right.
kind of saying like, maybe later we'll offer you something like when the economy is better or when we're in
Mm,
a better position to offer you. So I was just kind of like, maybe for now I'll do this job thing. I'll do this business thing. I'll shoot some video for some people, see if I can make some money off of it. I'll be living at home with my parents, and then if I get a job offer, I'll do the 9 to 5 thing. And eventually, a couple months later, so this is probably like September, October, November, is when I was like, I don't really want to do a 9 to 5 anymore. I kind of just want to stick to this job thing or this business that I have now. And I started to get a little bit of traction, especially in the real estate market.
mm,
December is a really, really, really rough month for both
mm,
realtors and people adjacent to real estate. So, but I had kind of talked to some realtors. I made some connections, made some relationships in the coming month or the past months, and so I knew that those relationships would kind of flourish this
right.
year. So in 2023, so that's why I was confident in count on myself to have
Yeah.
this full time business and go full time with my business in 2023, and I officially am doing that in May. So that's kind of like my official date of being a full time business owner and supporting myself on that business, which is really exciting. But yeah, it was kind of like I said, a little bit of necessity, a little bit of getting a push from friends and family of saying like, "Hey, you're creating really good work, and I love it." So.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You being honest that, it's also a necessity part. Not a lot of entrepreneurs are authentic in that part. How about the podcasting journey? Because, you know, that explains the jump into entrepreneurship, right? But what catapult you to venture the podcasting approach, the podcasting part of your life?
Yeah, so I've been listening to podcasts for at least 10 years. I've been listening
Ooh.
to them forever. So I've always loved podcasts. I've been watching them on YouTube and
Mm.
listening to them on Spotify. And so I absolutely love podcasts. And it was, excuse me, it was around November when I was listening to a podcast called The Colin and Smear Show, and which I really loved. And
Mm.
I forget what they were talking about. They were maybe talking about like, when is a good time to become a YouTuber or like
Ah,
how to
yeah,
get into
yeah.
YouTube, something along those lines. And I didn't want to become a YouTuber. I didn't want to become an
Right.
influencer or creator, but uh, kind of just like, I was like, yeah, I could do a podcast. Like if I'm listening to them so much, it was kind of an almost an, again, necessity of like, I need to create something. I need to
Right,
have
right.
something. And so I came up with the idea of having a podcast specifically where I talk to young entrepreneurs. So people my
Yes.
age,
Mm.
because I feel like that like kind of voice in the entrepreneurship world is not told as much. It's told
Mm.
in the local setting. You know, we're hustling, we're networking,
Yeah.
we're talking to a lot of people. But in the podcast space, when you go on, when you listen to a podcast, you see the YouTuber with a million subscribers. You see the venture backed business. You see the people that, you know, they just got funding, they got their seed round, they got their series D, they're getting acquired, things like that. And there's nothing
Right.
wrong with those businesses. I learned so much from them. I listened to, you know, Mark Benioff at
Yeah.
Salesforce and all these kind of people that they're really inspirational and they have a lot of good information to share. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm.
But for me, I didn't really see a podcast, and there are some out there, but right now that I've found later on. But I didn't see a podcast where we were bringing on, you know, the photographer who just came out of college and he's still trying to get clients, or
Ooh. Yeah,
the
yeah.
videographer who just landed his first big deal
That's a good
and that's maybe
niche.
$1,000 a month or whatever. Like nothing like crazy, but they're, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
getting started and telling their story there. And I think one of the things that I also wanted to do is I found it really hard to kind of tell my story. And
Mm.
so, and I feel like a lot of creative entrepreneurs have that issue too, is we don't have a good way to talk about ourselves. We just do the
Right.
work. And so it wasn't necessarily like a reason to start the podcast, but I kind of found out, or like as I was doing my episodes, that it does help some people kind of learn how to talk about themselves. And so that kind of was a side benefit of the podcast, but that's kind of how I got started with that. And I just released episode 9, so I
Ooh.
have about, you know, 10 or 5 more episodes after that that I've recorded. So it's
Love
going good
that.
so far.
Love that. Love that. I love that you mentioned that, Noah. And I totally agree. You know, like, we're podcasters, and in my perspective, I learn a lot from the guests that are on the show. It's more about me absorbing a lot of, I'm being energized, so to speak. I'm learning a lot from the story, not from the tips actually, but knowing the ups and down, the journey of that successful person like you. I mean, I see myself in you when I was like doing podcasting, when I started podcasting. Nobody even know that I exist. Things like that. And then
Yeah.
when you mentioned that, the people that you bring on the show, I remembered I was inviting when I was alone before, I was a one man team inviting people to be in the show, and people will say, nah, who are you? I mean, why would
Yeah.
I be there? So I know that feeling, and I love that you are helping those people that are, starting their careers, photographers, videographers, artists, entrepreneurs that are, just starting their journey in this industry. They need that platform, not to get clients, that will come, but someone that can push and support them as they move forward in this journey. I love that, and I will support you on that. Thank you, my
I
friend. Thank you
appreciate it.
for
Yeah.
sharing that. Yeah, I love that.
I
Love that.
appreciate it.
All right. You mentioned about entrepreneurship. You mentioned about, startups, either solopreneurs or artists, creators. But having that first jump, it's really scary. I was there,
Yes.
you were there, and I know a lot of our listeners and viewers are also excited to know, my friend, our main topic for today's episode: marketing tips for small businesses. Well, let's go straight to the point, my friend. Take it, the floor is yours. The marketing tips for small businesses from the amazing Noah Hutton. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah. So my biggest marketing tip for entrepreneurs, and this has taken me a long time to kind of learn and realize that this is what I should be doing, is you need to be face to face with people. It doesn't matter if it's a potential client. So, like for me, it's realtors,
Mm,
and other people, mainly realtors. Like it doesn't have to be the real estate agent. It could be just other business owners in the community. It
right.
could be other community leaders, the mayor or
Mm,
state leaders or whoever it is. You need to be face to face with those people. No call, like cold calling is great. Cold emailing is great. Message them if you see a need, reach out to them. But you're really going to gain a lot of traction when you get face to face with people and you
mm,
you are able to talk and communicate your message. And another thing that kind of comes along with that is it is a very much a long game. It's
right.
not going to happen overnight. So a good example of this is I worked with a brokerage down back at where I went to college in Purdue, and
Mm,
I met them last summer around like July, and I wanted to be a real estate photographer for them, so actually do their real estate listings. And they were like, "Oh, we already have a person, but we have a marketing need. We need a video content
oh,
for our
right.
business." And I said, "I would be happy to do that. Let's talk about what you need.
Mm,
Let's talk about what I can offer." And that relationship has kind of grown over time. It
mm,
didn't really kind of get to the point where it's at until January, and I
mm.
actually February. So it's going to be a long-term play, and when you get in front of these people, it's not immediately pitching your services. You're
Yes.
getting in front of these people and just asking them like, "Hey, how did you start your business?" Or, "Hey, what is your favorite place in the community?" You're just having a conversation with them, and naturally the thing's going to come up of, what do you do for a living, what's your job,
Right,
where do you
right,
work?
right.
And so then you can maybe talk about your business. "Oh, I'm a photographer. Oh, I'm a videographer. Oh, I own that cake shop. Oh, I love that cake shop. Like I should stop by." Like that kind of thing happens. And then like let's take the cake shop example. You're talking to a business, they're like, "Hey, actually, we're having an event in 3 months. Can you cater?" So that kind of conversation will just kind of happen. Or, "Hey, we're having an event in a few months. We would love to get a hype video for that or a promo video for that. Can you send us over a quote?" So those type of things just kind of happen. And maybe there, if you see the opportunity to pitch them and it's kind of natural in the conversation, you do that. But generally those conversations are casual, they're very
Mm,
conversational. You're kind of learning about them and just taking mental notes about that. And then if
right.
you see the opportunity later on, maybe your services come up or maybe you see a need for them and you can kind of bring that into the conversation. But it's really about networking, getting your face out there
Mm,
in the local community, especially because you don't know who knows people. Like
right, right.
I met a person who I was doing some podcasting work for as a contractor, just
Mm,
editing somebody else's show. And he was like, "Hey, I met this other guy who actually works for the state government and
right.
they need some video services." So then you can reach out to them, and then that kind of grows, and then that maybe turns into a potential client. So like all these type of things, you really never know who knows people.
Mm,
And there is some people in the community, and you definitely know those people. They know every single person. And so if you know somebody who knows them, that's your key into that person,
right.
and then you'll get even more contacts. So it's really about getting your face out there, making yourself known. And that can mean a lot of different ways, whether it's just going to community events, so like a block party or
Mm,
a grand opening of a new business, or joining a networking group. So I just joined a networking group, and our entire purpose of the networking group
mm,
is to refer each other's business. So like I have a couple little slips right here, and basically those are two referrals that I have. So those are two people who I can call and be like, "Hey, X person talked about me to you. They think I'd be a great fit for your business. Let's talk about how I
wow.
can fit into your business." So those are already two really warm leads and
Right.
potentially hot leads that I
Yeah,
have
yeah.
just because I joined this group. So
Mm,
I mean, cold calling is great, cold emailing is great, Google ads, all these type of things. But the for small business owners, especially ones where you're service based and client based, you're not going to get any traction if you don't get your face out there and get your name out there, and get, into the community and talk to people like that. So that's my biggest tip for marketing for your small
I
business.
love
And it's
that.
something that's really uncomfortable, but you have to do it and you have to learn how to do it.
I love that you mentioned, it's uncomfortable because it's true, right? It's not easy to go there face to face, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's probably one of the most uncomfortable things, especially if you're introverted. If you're extroverted, maybe it's a lot easier
Yeah.
and it's just natural to you. But like for me, it's super uncomfortable and it's
Mm.
super awkward. Like last year, I went to a couple Christmas parties for brokerages around in the local community, and I had the worst. Excuse me, I had the worst time because I hated talking to people. I didn't want to like walk up to people like, "Hey, I'm Noah Hutton." Like I didn't want to do that at all. So it was just really awkward for me, but I kind of learned through that, like, I could have gotten a ton of business out of that, or at least made a lot of
Mm.
connections out of that if I had just talked to random people and just kind of walked up to them. So I think it's something where, like, if you're really introverted, you just have to get
Mm.
over it. You have to throw yourself in the deep end and just start talking to people. And it could be just like if you go to an event, just talk to one person. Like I did that
Right,
for one of
right.
my first events. Um, it was like an entrepreneurship networking social type event, and I talked to one guy, and I don't think anything really came of it, but it was still like it kind of broke the ice for me. It's like, okay, I just talked to a random person, and that was really uncomfortable for me, but it kind of broke the ice, and then I started talking to more people. So it is really uncomfortable. It sucks the first time you do it, but you have to do it, and it'll get a lot easier the more you do it. And now, like, I mean, I'm still introverted. I prefer one-on-one kind of conversations. I don't like going to big
Right,
parties
right,
and talking
right.
to people or going up on stage and talking to somebody, but
Mm.
I'm a lot more comfortable with it now than I was 3, 4 months ago, just because I've gotten way more involved in the community and talking to more people, and
Yes.
this networking group really helped. So, yeah, it's uncomfortable. You have to do it.
I love that you mentioned that, it's not always about straight to the point making a pitch, right?
Yeah,
I love that you said that, sometimes you don't even make a pitch and nothing's gonna happen, right? You're just building that relationship, you're just building and nurturing that connection, and who knows, maybe that person is connected to someone and is connected to someone that would end up needing your services, right? You never know. I love that. A lot of people in this generation, they want it fast. They want to make a pitch, they want to make a deal. And that's not
yes,
bad. I mean, who doesn't want to
yep,
make a deal for the business? But I love that you mentioned that, that's not the focus. It's the person, it's the relationship, it's the connection. Because if you put that in place first, then a good deal, a good project, the money, so to speak, will come after that. So thank
yeah,
you, Noah, for giving us that overview and opening our minds to, for all the listeners and viewers out there, guys. Just have a great time. Connect with
yes,
people face to face, of course, with respect. Don't focus on the pitch yet. Just
yeah.
build that relationship, make that connection, and have fun.
Yeah, one thing I kind of learned is like nobody really wants to be pitched to, especially if
Yes,
you're not in a position
yes,
to be pitched to. Like if you're at a Christmas party and people are just trying to get, drink
yes.
and have fun, they don't want to be pitched on photography services. Maybe they're not thinking about that. They just had a great year in real estate and they're not thinking about that. So I think it's really important to kind of recognize the time and place for a pitch.
Mm,
And maybe it's, hey, here's my card. I'll call you in a week and we can get something set up. And that's all you say. And
right.
then maybe once they're in a mindset of, okay, we're back to work, because I know like in real estate specifically, like early December, they all
Mm,
just shut down. They do their
mm,
Christmas parties for all the companies, all the associations they go to. They shut down and then they go to Mexico and they have a fun time and they go on vacation. And then they come back and mid January they start up again.
right,
So like
right.
for me, I had to recognize like, hey, nobody is buying real estate photography in December. So I do not need to pitch them because all they're thinking about is
Having a good
the
time, right?
Christmas and yeah, having a great time. So I think it's really important to just kind of recognize the situation. If you're in a situation where it's not really appropriate to pitch or not really right to
Mm,
pitch, just have the conversation. Maybe at the end, hey, here's my card. I got to run. Here's my card. Give me a call. Love to talk to you in the future. And that's all you say. because maybe they
Wow.
call, maybe they don't, and you can follow up on them. But it's important to kind of make the conversation natural and not pitch them when it's really not the time to pitch them. And I've been kind of at fault for that. I've definitely pitched the wrong times, and it's probably hurt me a little bit.
Have you?
But you,
Wait.
yeah,
You mentioned about that, my friend. Can you share that? Can you share that moment in your life that you were, you were starting up, and you throw out a pitch in the middle of, an occasion or an event, and then it turned out to be not not nice.
yeah,
Can you share that?
yeah. So it's not as it's I'll just share the story. It's not crazy, but it
Mm,
was a learning moment for me for sure. So I went to I have a family member who works in the RV industry, so the RV camper industry.
right.
And I went to a trade show there where they were trying to, people come and they look at all the new RVs and they buy
Yeah.
RVs and sell RVs and all this kind of stuff. And I knew I was doing some work for them later on this year,
Mm,
for the group he's with. So I was like, let me just go and check it out, see what an RV show looks like. 'Cause I never been to one. So I
mm,
went and I was just kind of walking around, looking at all the RVs, going in the campers, kind of looking around. And eventually, I was talking to some people, and they're like, "Oh, what are you like? Are you here to buy?" And I'm like, "No, I'm." Yeah, I explained why I was there, and then I kind of got the bug of like, oh, like maybe I could get them as clients.
right.
And so I started to kind of hand out my card. And honestly, I handed it out way too fast. I would honestly just like walk up to people and just kind of like card ready, which like is definitely not the way to go. You don't want to have your like card in hand because they'll see that and they'll be like, oh shoot, he's gonna pitch me already. Like you don't want that. So I was doing that a little bit, talking to those people, and like it didn't work out in the way that I wanted to. And I got a call later from that family member, and he was like, "Hey, they don't want to be pitched on photography, so don't pitch them on photography." And I was like, I kind of felt bad, but I was also like, "Oh, that's very true. Like,
Right.
sorry, I didn't really mean to." And it wasn't like a big deal,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
was just kind of that moment of like, "Hey, don't do that," because
Yeah.
they're not there for that. They're there to sell RVs.
Mm,
They don't want to be talked to by vendors. They're making deals. Like I watched multiple people buy RVs at the show.
right.
And so if I'm talking to one of their salespeople, that is one less person maybe he
Oh
can sell an RV to.
yeah.
So
Wow.
it's again like recognizing the right time and place for
Mm,
that to happen. Um, and kind of just recognizing the situation you're in. So if you're at a trade show where people are trying to sell products to vendors and most of the attendees are those vendors that are actual customers
mm.
and you're not a customer, you're not in the right place necessarily. Maybe buy a booth at that point because then you can be a vendor at the trade show and be a part of
Yes.
it as opposed to just
Yes.
like kind of disruptive in that situation. So that was kind of my learning moment, and now I don't go to a ton of trade shows just because I recognize that they're not, that's not the time and place.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's really about just kind of being very cognizant of your surroundings and understanding like why you're there and why other people are
Mm.
there because
Love that.
9 times out of 10 they're not there to be pitched photography services.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah,
What a story, man. We have a question from Bobby James on Instagram.
yeah.
How do you know the right person to approach for a pitch? So, maybe you're in an event, a show, or a party. So how can you know the right person which that you can approach and make a pitch? Yeah, make a pitch.
Yeah, so I think it kinda goes back to what I was saying earlier, like, you're not always there to pitch. So I think really in those situations, what the right thing to do is
Like
just talk
change
to a
the
bunch of
mindset,
people.
right? Change your
Yeah,
mindset.
like, I
Don't
don't
go and have that
yes.
mindset that you need to make a pitch. Just delete it, right?
Yeah. Like, you can, let's say you're going to an association event, and you can look up
Mm.
who the leadership of that association is in the beginning and be like, "Okay, if I see those people, those are people I should talk to." And that's a great way
Ah.
to do it. But don't go into an event or go into a thing and be like, "Oh, that's the president of the company. I should pitch him." That's a really bad way to go about it, because 9 times out of 10, they don't want that. So I would
Yes.
say just go into the situation, talk to as many people as you can, give out
Mm.
cards when you can, and or like later on, if you know the right person to pitch to, let's say it's the marketing director or the events coordinator or whoever it is,
Mm.
maybe you recognize who that person is and you say, hey, you email them like a week later and be like, hey, loved your event. planned amazingly, love the lights, everything. Food was
Right.
great. Love the event. Thanks for inviting me. Would love to set a time to talk about photography services. And that's not during the event. That's not a day after the event. That is like a couple days after the event.
Mm.
Because with a lot of these events, they do the event and then they take three
Yeah.
days off. So I would say I would always have your pitch ready. I think that's one thing to kind of
Ooh, nice.
say is always have your pitch ready. Always have a little bit of blurb of what you're doing and what you can offer.
Mm.
Um, but don't go into every conversation with I'm going to pitch this person.
Oh
Just go into the
yeah.
conversation, have the conversation, just be a regular human being and have a conversation. And if the conversation gets there, yeah, pitch them or say like, hey, I saw this event. This would be great if we set up this, this, and this. Or if you're a
Mm.
caterer, like, hey, I could do this themed food for you, or however you want. Like, food is great. I could do it better, but only pitch when you see the right time. And it's really hard to kind of. Sometimes it's hard to kind of understand the right time. In those situations, I would probably say it's not the right time. So I would say just kind of be very cognizant about where you are and what the event is,
Mm.
but always have the pitch ready in case the conversation does lead to that. So.
Wow, amazing, amazing tips, powerful tips from the amazing Noah Hutton there, you guys. I love it. I love it. I learn a lot, and I hope you guys learn a lot from the amazing Noah here. And guys, remember, I will say it again. Just enjoy. Don't think about making a pitch. Forget about that. Make connection, build relationship, and everything will follow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Noah, for sharing those amazing tips, sharing your story, and really giving valuable insights. But my friend, we are not done yet. No, we're not done yet. We are now in the part of the show that we will play a game. This is a tradition here. We call it the Creative Fast Talk. I'm going to be asking you questions, and you are not allowed to spend much time thinking what the right answer would be. First word that comes into your mind, shoot. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes.
All right, let's go. First question, Noah, sun or snow?
Sun.
Structured or chaotic?
Structured.
Well, love or money?
Love.
If you were an animal, Noah, what animal would you be and why?
I would be a golden retriever,
Wow.
puppy or a dog, just because I love dogs. I love the energy that they bring. They're very energetic, but also love to just kind of nap around and hang around. So
Wow, love that. Very specific.
yes,
All right. Noah, what is something inside your bag? Always something inside your bag when you were a little boy.
oh, that's a really interesting question. I would say, oh, my Game Boy Advance. When I was a
Wow.
little kid, I always had a Game Boy or a DS, the Nintendo DS. I upgraded
Yeah,
at some point,
yeah.
but I always had it with me.
All right, since you mentioned a Nintendo gear, let's just say, a
Yeah.
computer. Yeah, for all those new generation folks out there that doesn't know what a Game Boy is.
Yeah.
What's your favorite game that you always play? Of course, it's expensive, like the cartridges before, right? So,
Yeah.
what are your favorite? What's the best, the most played game that you have before?
So when I was a kid, it was Pokemon, but I would say as I grew up, it would be either Minecraft or NBA 2K.
Wow, love that, love that, love that. All right,
Yeah,
next, Noah, what are you afraid of?
I am afraid of not having like control of the situation. Like I always want to know what's
Oh.
going on, not having the knowledge. Let's say that because I can deal without the control, but not having the knowledge of what's happening in the situation.
Yeah, that's scary. Love that. Love that.
Yeah,
Next, popcorn and movies or dinner and dancing?
I would go popcorn movies. I'm not a big dancer.
All right, since you mentioned popcorn and movies, name your top three movies of all time.
Well, this is really good because I was a film major in college, so I have that ready. My favorite movie is Ocean's 11 with George Clooney,
Ooh.
Brad Pitt, Matt Damon. My
Yeah, yeah.
second favorite is Black Panther, the
Mm.
first one. And then my third favorite is um The Rules of the Game, which is a really old 40s French movie.
I don't know. Again,
Uh,
I don't know about that. I'm gonna search that up.
it's a really good one. It's really good. It's really old, but really good.
Mm. Wow. All right. This last question, Noah, can lead into something serious depending on how you take it. All right.
Okay.
If you have the power to bring back someone back from the dead, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh.
Anyone in the whole wide world.
I would honestly say, and it's gonna be a family member. I have an uncle who passed away when I was younger. He passed away of a ALS, which is a really debilitating condition, and I
Mm,
would just love to kind of talk to him because I didn't really know him that well. I only knew him when he had the condition, so I would love to kind of have a relationship with him and talk to him more because he seemed like a really really interesting guy when he was alive.
right.
So that would be my answer. It's a little depressing, a little sad, but I would love to talk to him. So
Well, I'm sure Noah, he is very proud of you and there's a lot of love going on. So, Thank you Noah
yes,
for, sharing your story, your journey, giving us valuable insight, powerful tips and you know, having the time to play the game. And now we know that you are a Pokemon player,
I am.
a
Yes.
Game Boy player. So I also have a Game Boy before. I think I have the Game Boy Classic, the big one, the thick ones.
Yeah, I had one of those too, but
Yeah,
mine
like
was the, like, flip up one. I had the flip
yeah,
one.
the
Yep.
bulletproof Game Boy,
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then I had an upgrade. It's a Game Boy Pocket, like it's like
Okay. Yeah.
yeah. So
I
that
never had
was
that one, but
before.
I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Thank you. Noah, I know you have a lot of projects, your social media accounts, your business, or any releases that you want to share. Please feel free to promote. The floor is yours.
Yeah, of course. So my business is called NTH Productions, NTH Productions, like the letters, my initials. So you could visit my website is actually noah-hutton.com. I'm getting a new website, working on that, but right now it's noah-hutton.com. And my all my socials are NTH Productions. So you can find me on there. It's a black background with a gold letter. And then my podcast is called The Rest of Us Podcast. It's really great. I think the conversations are great. You'll learn a lot from younger entrepreneurs. I just released my favorite episode that I've recorded yet. Is with a sister, a duo of sisters. We only had one sister on, but we own a coffee truck in Virginia. So it's really really interesting. Just how they got that started. So I highly recommend that episode or any of the episodes. Honestly, they're really great. But it's called The Rest of Us. You can find it on any platform, YouTube. Same thing on social media as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, um, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of them. So
Love the title.
thank you.
There,
Yes.
it's really something catchy. I love it.
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys. Please do connect with Noah. I'm sure he can help you in your journey toward success. This is Jan Santos together with Noah Hutton. Always remember, have a positive outlook in life. Smile. God bless you all. Bye.